He's the compassionate CMO of the Enterprise, sworn to do no harm, but a killer lives inside him, a ghost of a war he can't escape. What dark secret forced him to give up his rank to McCoy? Stay tuned as we dive into the tragic fall of Dr. Mbenga. Hey everyone, it's David from Sci-Fanatics, and today we're diving into the tragic and complex journey of Dr. Joseph Mbenga. We're going to tackle the Mbenga paradox, a man of science and healing whose past as a Starfleet Special Forces operative makes him a man of violence. The man known as the Butcher of Jagal was a fraud, and the brutal truth is, Mbenga, the man they also called the Ghost, was the real one. His story is a powerful exploration of the psychological toll of war, and will theorise what pivotal event caused him to step down as CMO of Enterprise, a demotion that may have been a penance he chose for himself. So, let's crack into it. We'll start with a look at the two different portrayals of Mbenga. Before becoming the deeply scarred and complex character seen in Strange New Worlds, Dr. Mbenga was introduced to the Star Trek universe in a much more limited capacity during the original series. Played by Booker Bradshaw, the character appeared in just 2 episodes, but his creation and development offer an interesting glimpse into the show's production history. Mbenga was originally conceived by writer Darlene Hartman for her unproduced script Shoal, which was shelved after a similar story in Season 2, The Apple, went into production instead. This story, which involved the Enterprise encountering a primitive society controlled by a godlike computer, never made it to the air, but the character of Dr. Joseph Mbenga was retained and eventually became part of the show's wider fabric. The character was also intended to be part of a proposed spin-off series titled Hope Ship, a concept for a show about a Federation hospital vessel that would have featured Mbenga in the regular cast. Booker Bradshaw brought the character of Dr. Mbenga, a physician with a specialisation in Vulcan medicine, to life in the original series Season 2 episode A Private Little War. Mbenga's introduction was a key moment, as his expertise allowed the crew to understand the bizarre life signs emanating from a severely wounded Spock. The Vulcan, it turned out, was not dying, but just rather concentrating all his efforts on self-healing. Mbenga's character, initially presented as a stern and serious professional, revealed a surprising wit in a memorable scene with Nurse Chapel. He informed her, with a mischievous grin, that Spock had been conscious the entire time and was likely aware that she'd been holding his hand. A revelation that left the nurse a little bit flustered. In a humorous behind-the-scenes moment during the same episode, Mbenga was tasked with rousing a catatonic Spock with a powerful slap. According to Bradshaw, a time-pressed Leonard Nimoy told him to deliver a genuine non-stage slap to avoid reshoots. Taking Nimoy at his word, Bradshaw's slap was so forceful it knocked the star off his feet and sent his Vulcan ears flying across the room. While the crew erupted in laughter, a furious Nimoy insisted the next take be a proper stage slap, creating a chaotic and unforgettable piece of Star Trek lore. While Bradshaw's performance was praised, the development of Mbenga's character was not without its own complexities. His second and final appearance in Season 3's That Which Survives almost didn't happen. Initially, the script featured a doctor named Mboya, before the lines were reassigned to Nurse Chapel. However, a last-minute suggestion to reintroduce the character of Mbenga brought Bradshaw back to the show. His final small but significant role showed Dr. Mbenga's exasperation being unable to provide an explanation for a crewman's mysterious cause of death, solidifying his presence in the show's canon. However, Strange New Worlds completely changes that, reimagining Mbenga with a rich, complex backstory and bringing him to life with incredible gravitas by actor Babs Olusemokin. This new portrayal is a masterclass in character development, and it wasn't just down to the writing. The actor's real-world background is a crucial element. Olusemokin can be recognised not just from his work on the Enterprise, but also from his memorable role as Fremen warrior Jameis in Denis Villeneuve's Dune, where he proved he was pretty handy with a crysknife on the desert world of Arrakis. His casting wasn't just a coincidence either. It was a deliberate choice to bring a specific kind of intensity to the role, a physical presence that hints at a hidden past. Olusemokin has spoken about how he approached the character, not wanting to get too many influences from past actors, instead choosing to craft something new. His training as a decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt gave him a physical approach to acting that helped set him free as an artist, manifesting itself as a controlled strength and quiet threat beneath his calm exterior. This physicality is key to the character's mysterious moments, like the gesture he makes to La'an, where he subtly wipes a tear away from his eye. This has led to speculation that this is some sort of a war veteran symbol, quiet acknowledgement of shared trauma between the two perhaps. The fact that an actor with a background as a martial arts champion is playing a trauma-scarred special forces warrior who becomes a doctor of all things is the perfect encapsulation of the Mbenga paradox. His performance delivers one of the most nuanced and human portrayals of a character grappling with the psychological toll of war, I guess you could say arguably in the entire franchise. Now let's explore the genesis of the monster. Mbenga is introduced to us in Strange New Worlds as the Enterprise's CMO from at least 2259, having taken over from Dr. Philip Boyce, played by John Hoyt, whom we saw in the Cage pilot episode, which was set back in 2254. Mbenga is a dedicated healer and a grieving father, desperately trying to find a cure for his daughter Rakia's terminal illness. In a testament to his desperation and love for his daughter, he kept her in a transporter buffer, a heartbreaking act that defined his character throughout Season 1. This storyline established him as a compassionate and deeply empathetic figure, a man willing to defy Starfleet rules and regulations to protect the people he loves. It made him a hero, but in Season 2, we see a darker side of his past starting to creep in, and that's where things get really interesting, folks. The first crack in Mbenga's compassionate facade appears in the Season 2 episode The Broken Circle. Mbenga and Nurse Chapel are on an away mission on a planet in disputed space when they're captured by a syndicate of former Klingon and human soldiers who, for some strange reason, want to restart the Klingon War. During their escape, Mbenga and Chapel are forced to use a combat serum called Protocol 12. This highly potent drug, which Mbenga developed during his time as a Special Forces operative, temporarily turns the compassionate doctor into a ruthless killer. It was a shocking moment for the audience when this was revealed, and it was a clear hint to a much deeper hidden trauma that lies beneath the surface of his calm demeanour. The trauma Mbenga carries comes to a head in the harrowing episode Under the Cloak of War. Through flashbacks to the Klingon War, we learn the full devastating truth. The man who claimed the title of the Butcher of Jagal was a fraud, coward, and a war criminal named Dak-Ra, responsible for ordering the torture and deaths of many Federation civilians on the planet they were on. The episode reveals that Mbenga was the one who killed the 3 Klingon warlords that Dak-Ra claimed he had killed in trying to stop this needless slaughter. This is the critical turning point where the healer willingly embraces his violent past, ultimately leading him to kill Dak-Ra. The lie that he and Chapel create to cover up the crime is a ticking time bomb essentially, compromising their integrity and creating a fracture with Captain Pike, which sets the stage for Mbenga's potential downfall. The tension surrounding this lie and Mbenga's internal struggle resurfaces in the later episode Shuttle to Kenfori. Here Mbenga and Pike are on an off-the-books mission essentially to save Captain Batel when they're cornered by Bytha, Dak-Ra's Klingon daughter. She seeks to restore the honour of her house and forces Mbenga to confess the truth regarding her father's death. It's here we get the powerful quote that defines his inner conflict. I lied to protect the monster that still lives inside me, should the day come when he's needed again. This confession validates some speculation around the future of the character and provides a direct path to his potential downfall. It reveals that the killer is still a part of him and he's terrified of what that means for his future as a healer. It's a profound moment of self-realization that will surely change his path forever. So we've explored Mbenga's past in Strange New Worlds, and we know he ends up as a general physician under Bones in the original series. But what happens between now and when Kirk takes command of the Enterprise around 2265? Let's dive into 3 plausible theories for his potential downfall. Theory number 1. The killing of Dak-Ra is exposed. The theory of Dr. Mbenga losing his position as CMO of Enterprise due to the killing of Dak-Ra is highly plausible and presents a complex ethical and political dilemma for Starfleet. The fragile cover story of self-defense, agreed upon by Mbenga, Nurse Chapel and Captain Pike, is again a ticking time bomb. The truth could surface through an internal Starfleet inquiry, where Pike and Chapel would be forced to choose between loyalty to a colleague and their sworn duty to the Federation. Mbenga's act wasn't just a physical response, but a deeply personal one, driven by the trauma of war and his desire for justice. Starfleet, which had embraced Dak-Ra as a reformed warlord, now diplomat and symbol of peace, would find itself in a scandal as Mbenga's actions would not be seen as just a crime, but as a political betrayal. The fallout for Mbenga would be far more severe than Una Chin Riley's trial. Her case was about a hidden identity, a breach of regulations, while Mbenga's is a deliberate killing, a far graver offence that would set a dangerous precedent in a formal Starfleet proceeding, where the argument that Dak-Ra deserved it just wouldn't hold up. The revelation could come from external forces, such as associates of Dak-Ra's daughter, Bytha, or members of the houses representing the 3 Klingon warlords that Mbenga killed on Jakal, who might be seeking to resolve a blood feud if that truth ever surfaced. Regardless of the source, though, the political fallout from the scandal, combined with the Federation's desire to maintain its diplomatic reputation, would make it impossible for Mbenga to remain in his position. Even if he avoided a court-martial, let's say, the profound loss of trust would inevitably lead to his forced resignation as CMO. Theory number 2. The monster re-emerges at a critical moment. Mbenga is acutely aware of the violent part of his personality he developed during the Klingon War, and struggles to keep it buried under his identity as a healer. The immense pressure of a high-stakes medical crisis, one perhaps with some high personal stakes, or one that mirrors his traumatic experiences on Jagal, could cause his persona to resurface. This wouldn't be like a calculated act like his killing of Dak Ra, but an involuntary and dangerous regression where he makes a medically unsound or an aggressive decision, seeing combat where there is only a medical problem to be solved. And this could end tragically. This scenario would create an untenable situation for Captain Pike and Starfleet Command. While they would understand the lingering PTSD from his time as a Special Forces operative, they couldn't ignore the risk that Mbenga poses. The role of CMO demands a steady hand, not a doctor who might resort to violent solutions. Mbenga would be deemed a liability, and his departure would be addressed internally, likely without a court-martial. This aligns with the historical timeline, where Dr. Mark Piper was the next CMO by 2265 on the Enterprise, just before Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy took over. Mbenga's demotion would create the need for a stable replacement, perfectly setting the stage for these subsequent events. Theory number 3, the penance of the healer. Our third theory is that Dr. Mbenga voluntarily steps down as CMO of the Enterprise, due to a profound sense of guilt and a terrifying realization about his own nature. While he may have felt justified in killing Dak Ra at the time, the weight of his confession, not just to others but to himself, would make his position of authority feel like a complete fraud. The pressure of command and the difficult decisions it entails become too much. He fears that his past sins have permanently corrupted him, and that in a future crisis he might once again resort to violence, crossing a line that he can never uncross. This terrifying realization is what truly motivates him to seek personal penance. This act of stepping down would be Mbenga's profound act of contrition, a deliberate choice to atone, if you will, for his past sins and confront the darker part of himself. He may take a temporary leave of absence or a sabbatical, something like that, focusing on his long journey of healing away from the pressures of command. By eventually returning to duty as a general physician under a new CMO like Dr. Mark Piper or Dr. Leonard McCoy, he could dedicate himself to the fundamental duty of a doctor, saving lives without the burden of command. This quieter, more subdued role would be a way for the ghost of Jagal to find peace by becoming just a doctor again, making it a powerful and emotionally resonant conclusion to his rather tragic journey. Mbenga's journey from a background character to one of Star Trek's most nuanced and human portrayals of a man grappling with the psychological toll of war resonates with a lot of fans. Babs Alusa-Moken's performance has given us a character who is both a healer and a warrior, a father and a monster. His fate is not just a footnote in the timeline, but a tragic story of a man trying to find peace in a universe that just simply won't let him. The question of what led to his departure as the CMO of Enterprise remains, but it's highly likely to be a deeply personal and painful journey. Did you feel any of those theories hit the mark? Which theory makes the most sense to you? Did you have another idea on what happens to the Good Doctor as we get closer to that original series timeline? Let's get the conversation started. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with all of our latest videos. Until next time, folks, live long and prosper, and bye for now.